Hey dude, it's Dad. Been thinking about you a lot lately over the last couple of days here as we talk about maybe you're not feeling well and part of it's being a cold. Trying to figure out how to help you out with the vitamins and stuff, and maybe thought maybe shooting a video here. I'm gonna post this to YouTube, but just know you're the only person that can see it. So, um, where to begin with some advice for you? Because I don't really know what's going on, so I'm just gonna try to give you some general takeaways from my journey right over the last few years. So as you know, I ran a marathon, right? And during that marathon, I saw people in their 70s, 80s, and even 90s running a marathon. And probably 5 years ago now, I couldn't run a mile without completely bonking, running out of so much energy. I almost called Michelle to come get me, and I was less than a mile home because I wasn't sure if I could walk home. Um, that's when I started working with a functional practitioner, right? So these are people that look at the body as a system, not as a discrete organ, and try to help you understand maybe why your body is not doing what you think it should be doing. You probably remember that they determined for me that at that time I was plant based and that my body was not processing any of the carbohydrates. I wasn't intaking hardly any protein or fat. So basically, I had no nutrition. um, that would explain my energy bonk. Some of the weird parts of that is I wasn't losing any weight during that time. So I had no signs from that. All I had was a really lack of energy, a lot of brain fog, very tired, very fatigued, very quickly. Not only running physically, but mentally too. Just I struggled a lot. I could fake it, but I wasn't doing great. So the first thing he did is we ran some stool samples and stuff like that to try to figure out. That's how we figured out why I wasn't using any of the protein, right? Any of the nutrition I was eating. That's how we figured that out. It wasn't a guess. Um, so the first thing he did is he put me on a normal diet, which I was okay with, and a much higher calorie count than you might think is normal. Um, I try to go back and find some of the data that I have. It's not easy to locate, but I do have some general guidelines. Some of this you may have heard from your teammates or anything you might be doing. I see you're putting on some body weight, so it's very likely that maybe you're not off in the weeds on this, but just in case you are, the numbers he gave me, right? I'm 100 and at the time I was 170 pounds. Um, he wanted me to be at 187 grams of protein a day, 218 grams of good carbohydrates, and those are hard to come by. Good ones are. Um, and then, what does it say there? Can't read it. Um, 98 grams of good fat. So when I started doing that, I started putting on some weight like a banshee because that's hard to do, right? So that is, if you look at it based on a meal, it's like 47 grams of protein per meal. 47, right? That's a lot of protein. So, the way you get that is eating a lot every meal. And then on top of that, doing protein shakes to try to drive your protein number up. The fat part, I prefer getting my good fat from um, avocado mostly. I love guac. I put it on my eggs if I can. Take an avocado and cut it up. That's a good way to do that. There's some other oils that you can use, but no vegetable oils. Olive oil is probably the best thing to do. I realize some of the things I'm telling you might be impossible to get in college, but maybe it's not. Maybe you can get some bread and some olive oil at the cafeteria and eat that. Um, don't go hog wild with it because you'll get the shits. um, but even butter, real butter, is a healthy, believe it or not, a healthy fat. So you can use that on bread. Put butter and toast and putting butter on your eggs, stuff like that. Yogurt, you can get it from that. Dairy, you can get it from that. That's all. If you get whole milk, like I think you remember liking, that's all good stuff. You can drive that fat number up. Protein, For me, I tend to do it with eggs. I have 4 eggs a lot in the morning, a slice of cheese on top of that to bump it up some more. I have a very, very healthy whole grain, one slice of whole grain bread. You don't want to get too crazy with the bread because it will spike your blood sugar, then you'll have a crash afterwards. So one slice that gives you some carbohydrates if you give it a good healthy one. If you can't, go with a wheat bread. Don't go with white bread. White bread is shit. And that goes with any kind of white bread, bun, hot dog bun, hamburger bun, white rice. Just about every pasta on the face of the earth is shit. So I try to stick away from all that because it's not very good for you as far as energy goes. So you have carbohydrates, and the way the body processes it is sugar, and you have to manage like how much of it you eat. If you eat a ton of pasta, your blood sugar will spike and it'll crash, so you'll feel terrible later, kind of deal. And I had a CGM on my arm for a while that I was monitoring my blood sugar, and I could see it, and I can show you the graphs on it. So I tend to distribute carbohydrates out. Have a slice of bread here. For breakfast, sometimes I'll have high protein yogurt, and then like 4 strawberries that are cut up, and then a handful of raspberries or blueberries. Not all 3. All 3 is too much sugar. So you also don't want to mix in a banana there. Bananas are a blocker. So you eat bananas separate to those other fruits. At a different time, like I said, snack, right? You probably have crap yogurt in the cafeteria. What I mean by that is just low protein, because the high protein stuff they're probably not going to pay for, right? The stuff that I have in the fridge here is 27 grams per serving, so that's a nice shot of protein, and then a little bit of carbohydrates again, right? Just to kind of add those in. So doing that was probably the single most beneficial thing for me, was nailing in what I eat. I cut out ice cream, I cut out chips, I cut out donuts, bagels, all the crap food, man. I don't have it. We don't have it here in the house. I try really hard not to eat any of it. No pop, which I as I recall you don't really drink anyway. Mostly try to think about my meals and go, is what I'm eating beneficial to my goals? And if it's not, I don't drink it. I cut back alcohol dramatically. I have beer here that's crazy old in the house. I don't drink my liquor hardly ever. I do drink. I go out with my friends. I do it, but I don't drink here at all. So not rarely will I crack open a beer here or even have a small glass of scotch or something, because I know it's not in line with my goals. It's not going to produce the best version of me mentally or physically, so I stay away from it. That was probably the single biggest change. When I started doing that, it helped a lot with my energy, my overall energy. I still didn't feel as great as I wanted to. Like I still wasn't, I'll call it a go-getter, right? It's still kind of a little lethargic, a little brain foggy, but I could work out and I could recover. And that happened very quickly. So within a couple weeks of eating high protein meals, high protein diet, I very quickly felt better. And then probably the next biggest thing for me was recently B vitamin that I'm taking. It's more than just B, but that seems to make me more of a go-getter. I don't really want to take a nap anymore. I feel like I don't need it, which is kind of nice. I feel like I'm alert, I'm awake, I don't have brain fog, I'm ready to go, I want to do things, I don't want to sit around. And that was one of my goals, is to move towards that. So with that, I've got that multivitamin I sent you. It's kind of it's a really high quality multivitamin. that, as I mentioned in my text, if you started taking that, and I'll cover the cost of it, it's going to be 6 to 9 months before you really feel the full benefit of that. Some of that will be very quickly. The B12 that's in there, methylated B12 that's in there, you will feel that in 48 hours. You'll either, it'll be amazing. Your pee will be the brightest color of green you've ever seen every time you pee because of how much B vitamin is in you. B vitamin is great because you can't take too much of it. It'll flush it. Your body will flush it. And that vitamin is very different than what you can find in the store. I cannot stress that enough. It's a $34 bottle of vitamins. The methylated component is huge for the way your body processes vitamins. So, if you're open to that, we can get that on order for you so you can start taking that and then improve your nutrition. You'll be good. Some of the other things you might think about that I learned along the way was the plant-based destroyed my gut, right? And one of the signs of that was my stool samples being really weird. They look like taffy instead of being big clumps of round, right? Nuggets poops were bigger than mine when I was plant-based. So that has been progressively getting better and actually got really good when I started taking better vitamins. So, if your stool is weird, not big and round and firm, that's an indicator that there's something going on in your gut that we need to look into and get some tests done to see what we can see, what's going on in your gut and in your stomach, because that will dial things in, right? Well, they'll give us some better indications. We can also look at hormones, because if your vitamins are off, the multivitamin should help with this, and that's why it takes so long, is that if the vitamins are off, your hormones are off, and all your systems are weird. All your internal body systems are weird. Your nervous system, your dopamine release, all these things can be completely miswired and not functioning properly, and because it doesn't have the minerals to create the proper hormones to make you feel good. So that's why if you start taking the multivitamin, it takes a while for your body to recognize the minerals are there, start utilizing them properly, and get efficient at utilizing them to upregulate or downregulate the hormones as needed so you feel more optimum. But that's why it's not just like a switch, right? The vitamin thing isn't. But sleep, I've talked about that a lot, trying to go to bed at almost exactly the same time every day and getting up at the same time every day. That's a big one for how your body sleeps, how it recovers. It learns to recover that way. If you wake up in the middle of the night, do not look at your phone. Do not look at light if you can help doing it, because if you get enough light into your eyes, that's a trigger to your body that is when you should wake up tomorrow. So if you wake up in the middle of the night and you start looking at your phone at 3 o'clock in the morning, that's a trigger to your body that, oh, it's morning. Tomorrow we should wake up about this time, or at least earlier, and it'll try to march your circadian rhythm back, right? So it's recommended that you not look at your phone. You also do not eat if you wake up in the middle of the night, unless you have to. I find that if I wake up, I need to go have a snack. If I feel that way, that means I did not eat enough during the day, for sure. So what else can I tell you? Sleep is huge. Vitamins, important for hormone stuff. Water, electrolytes. Dun, dun, dun. Julie's big stupid mug. So I carry that around with me a lot. So I have 40 ounces of water in there, and I have an element packet that I put in there that, again, I can help you get. And you can put that in your water, 2 of those a day. It's a very specific type of salt that, again, helps your body process all sorts of things and, gives you your electrolytes back without the sugar and without all the garbage that's in Gatorade. Even Liquid IV is not as good as what I'm drinking. So it's better to, the better supplements you can get, the better you'll feel. The cleaner it is. Garbage in, garbage out. So I'm sure there's a lot more that I can tell you, or we can knock around, but I thought maybe doing this video you would be able to watch it and replay it, so that when you forget, because it's hard to transition to when all the stuff I'm telling you, man, it's hard to remember when you go to the line to get food. Oh wait, I want a hamburger, which is fine, you can eat a hamburger, but put 2 pieces of meat on that hamburger instead of having 2 buns. Get rid of that white flour freaking bun. You can eat one of them, but don't eat 2 of them. Just put double the meat in one of them, that kind of stuff. So you're going to make mistakes when you try to transition to this. So the more you think about it or write it down and say, this is what my plan is for today. Maybe you do something in your calendar that says, this is what I'm eating for breakfast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And just as a reminder, as a plan, this is when I go to the cafeteria, this is what I want to eat. So that helps you make better decisions instead of impulse decisions when you're in the cafeteria line. Stuff like that. Drinking water when you get up in the morning, having a big glass of water, with or without electrolytes in it. I try to have a full glass of water sitting somewhere, so when I wake up in the morning, I walk in, I drink it. Full glass of water, down. That helps me increase my water intake, right? You can overhydrate, so be careful with that. But generally speaking, 100 ounces, you'll be fine. At least 100 ounces of water per day, and you'll be fine with that. And that doesn't include your sweat stuff. So there's a few thoughts that you can play with to see how you feel. But I want to stress to you that you should feel good every day. You should feel energetic every day. You should feel enthusiastic. And more of that has to do with nutrition and our hormones getting balanced than anything. So if those are off, you're not going to have those things, but you should, right? Even me in my 50s, I should. And one of the ways I know that is the marathon, the comments I started this video with. How can somebody in their 80s, 90s run a marathon? Right? They're not magic. They're not unique. They eat right. Their body is processing and functioning properly. So if I'm in my 50s or you're in your 20s, being lethargic, having brain fog, being depressed, that is not normal, all right? And if we can get your nutrition dialed in and your vitamins dialed in, all that stuff will magically go away, because your body will be processing it. You're giving it the right building blocks to do the right things for you. It wants you to be happy. It wants you to do these things. It wants you, your dopamine release and all that stuff is all controlled by hormones. So if your vitamins are way off, all that can be messed up too. And oh, by the way, if you go to a standard doctor and get a vitamin panel, they'll tell you you're fine. They did that to me. My vitamin D was in the yellow zone. It's not a big deal. It's just a little low. Wrong. It's fucking catastrophically low. So, having the right people, it's one of the things I would love to get you and Jolie and Michelle later this year is a vitamin panel, a hormone panel done by a functional practitioner, by my guy Kurt. Let's see where you're at. Let's see what we can learn. Because you shouldn't have to wait till you're 50 to figure out some of the things that I'm figuring out now, so that you live even better from 20 to 50 than I did. And, happier and more energetic. Not that I think that I was really bad back then, because I don't. But who knows? Maybe I was worse off than I thought. So, every day that I go by and I'm tweaking things with my functional practitioner and taking different vitamins, I'm getting incrementally better and better. And, now I can start training pretty hard. And my mental clarity is good. My memory retention is good. My sleep is good. My heart rate variability, my watch is better. My stress is lower on my watch. they're quantitative things that I can see in my data that are beneficial, right? And are correlating to how I feel. It's not just the placebo effect. I can literally see it in the measurements that I'm heading the right way. And of course, I feel better too. So, yeah, guess that's a 20-minute video, man. I'm hoping that you watch to the end of it and know that I love you. I'm just trying to help you, guide you, give you some information. With better information, you can make better choices, right? So, you want to dig into any more of this or ask me anything about it, I'm happy to do that or give you some resources. I have used ChatGPT in the past to dig into some of these and help understand it. For the vitamin stuff, sometimes I ask it, if I take vitamin D at this dosage, what should I perceive to be the benefits? And it goes through and gives you a pretty good explanation of 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, a year, what I could perceive in my body that is beneficial, or what are my risks. And it does a really good job of explaining it. And if it doesn't, you keep drilling into it and asking it until it answers your question. So, if I'm off here, you could potentially go into that and ask it some questions about, whatever your symptoms are, however you feel now, what could be some of the contributing factors, things you could look for to make that go away. I would use that sparingly because it doesn't know everything about you or your history, right? I'm giving you my perspective from me, and I am not you, but I am very much like you. So there could be some correlation there, right? I think I've mentioned this before too. Caffeine, right? No go. I'm highly sensitive to caffeine. If I drink it, I get a headache. So brain fog, I don't feel good. Sometimes I even get angry. So it's a good chance that you might have that as well. I would stay away from that, especially if you feel that your heart is racing for no real reason, or you're angry, maybe irrationally angry, going to class and you can't focus. Your brain fog and you have a headache. Very much caffeine, and that I would get that from drinking a Mountain Dew, right? So I would eliminate caffeine from your diet and all possibilities to see how that affects you if you're consuming any of it. Anyway, that's enough rambling, dude. I love you. Hit me up if you got any questions, okay?